Hello and welcome to a Kaladesh draft here on Cheap MTG. So we've done a few Kaladesh drafts. This is the first one I'm filming. The pack we've opened is, I think it's interesting. Eliminate the Competition is a very good card in decks that use it well, and a very bad card in decks that don't use it. Otherwise, I quite like Die Young and Subtle Strike. Subtle Strike's more of a combat trick than a removal spell, but it works very nice. Voltaic Brawler is a good gold card, but it is a gold card, so we probably won't be taking it first pick. I think we're going to try for Eliminate the Competition here. Like I said, this card's got the highest raw power level if you can use it well, so it seems like a fairly good pick that if we can get enough like servos. Okay, so pack 2. We have Unlicensed Disintegration, which is a great removal spell. Probably the best removal spell in the format, and is shown up in standard. It's that good. Otherwise, we have like Aether Theorist, fine. This ability to scry is going to be useful. I quite like Impeccable Timing. It's fairly solid removal at 2-drop slot. Quite good in the early game. We also have Reckless Fireweaver, which works quite nicely with red-black. Going to have a few artifacts in red-black. And there's also this Morphous Doorbuster, which it's fine. I'm not a massive fan of this card. I think if we're going to go red, we'd prefer to take this Unlicensed Disintegration. It is a gold card, but it's such a strong gold card that I'm sort of willing to, you know, if we play red and black, or one or the other, I'm happy to take this. So, okay, so what have we got? We have Decoction Module. Okay, so you can do some weird and funny things with the modules. Probably not in red-black. You're probably looking more blue-green, or even the Teamer colours for that. Dundov Operative is a fairly solid 2-drop. You know, 3/2 Death Touch if you have a artifact for 2 is solid, and black-red would play some amount of artifacts. Morphous Squad again is fine. Puzzle Knot's probably more of a making the numbers up card. I think we're just going to take the Dund Operative here. Nothing in this pack stands out as being insanely good. You know, maybe Thriving Rhino is a good enough card, but I don't think it's a signed greens open, so we're just going to stick to black. Okay, so what have we got here? Insidious Will. I actually think this card's quite good. You do have to build a deck around it in a way that you want to leave the mana up, but just being able to choose a new target for your opponent's removal spell is actually quite a strong effect. Other cards in this pack, Kajar Seed Sculptor. There is a counters theme, and the Seed Sculptor goes quite well in that deck. Lawless Broker's fine. Thriving Rats is probably one of the worst thriving creatures, to be honest. Black doesn't have that much use for energy. I think the best card here is probably Salivating Gremlins. Like I said, if we're going to be red-black, we're going to look to pick up some artifacts. So this would go nicely in that. We already want to play red for this Unlicensed Disintegration, so I think we'll just take the Gremlins here. Nothing else that stands out. Okay, so not a massive fan of Morbid Curiosity, to be honest. There are other ways to draw cards that mean you don't have to sacrifice permanents. I think that's probably better. There's another Dund Operative. There's also a Servo Exhibition. Now, we've got this Eliminate the Competition, and Eliminate the Competition would love us to have servos to sacrifice. It does mean we're sort of going into a third colour. And we could just go with this Dund Operative on the other hand, which goes much nicer in our sort of black-red deck. Not really seen much other white, so I think we're just going to stick to the black here. I think it's the safer pick. Okay, so here we can go. We've got two pretty good black cards in Subtle Strike and Morphous Squad. So Morphous Squad gives us a servo for this Eliminate the Competition, whereas Subtle Strike is, I think it's a very good card. I think I'm going to go with the Morphous Squad. In this format, I've found myself going down the route of controlling lots of instants deck far too many times, so I'm going to go with the sensible Morphous Squad. It works well with the Gremlins and Eliminate the Competition as well, and actually in fact, all our cards getting the servo, so I think that's a fair pick. Okay, so there's a Rush of Vitality here, which is a trick that has been seeing a lot more play recently. In fact, I'm filming this after day one of the PT, and Rush of Vitality was a fairly good card there, so I think it's a pretty good pick for us here. We could sort of take Inventor's Fair and see if we pick up any really good artifacts. I think I'd prefer to stick, though, with the card I know I'm definitely going to play at this stage, so... A lot of Aradara Expressors going around. So I don't think we want Runus Gremlin. We'd prefer to pick up something like Demolish to just, destroy an artifact. I don't think we're an Aradara Express deck. Crew 4 is quite high as well on a vehicle. That's something to look at. I think we might just take this Scavenger. It means we're probably not going to be that much of an aggressive deck if we're going to play this Scavenger, but I think it's fine. It's got some value. Okay, so we do get to pick up a Subtle Strike here, which I'm quite a fan of. There's not really anything else in this pack for us anyway, so Subtle Strike's quite nice. I think this card's quite undervalued, to be honest. Okay, we've definitely taken a Reckless Fireweaver here. We're going to look to play more artifacts from packs 2 and 3, and that will work very nicely with the Fireweaver. There's also, I mean, we could take another Scavenger, but I think Fireweaver in the red-black deck is just better. Okay, Demolish is quite a nice late pickup. It's nice to have Demolish in your sideboard, at least as a one-of. We're going to actually take the Bastion Mastodon here. We've already got a fair amount of 2-drops, and we're not going to need the energy from the rats most likely. And Mastodon stats are fine for a 5-drop, and it's an artifact, so it works nicely. Probably take a Scavenger here again. Just better than a vanilla 3/4. We could play Hijack, I suppose. Not looking that aggressive, which is where Hijack would be best. But we could potentially side it in. Okay, pack 2. So straight away, I see some really good green cards actually. Architect of the Untamed and Long Tusk Cup are great. There's a few good cards in here for us, to be honest, actually. There's Incendiary Sabotage, which, whilst it does have quite a high drawback, I think it's quite a good card. And it's quite a tough pick, this, actually, because I like... we could take Quicksmith Genius. We could also take a Die Young. We're supposed to have 2 removal spells now, but right now we're probably not looking like playing this Eliminate the Competition. We only have like 1 way to produce servos. So I think it's kind of a tough pick between the Spot Removal, the Sweeper, and even the Quicksmith Genius as a looter. I think I'd prefer to take one of the uncommons here. We're more likely to see Die Young in the rest of the pack and in pack 3. And I think I'm probably going to take... I'm going to take the Incendiary Sabotage. I've not played with this card in draft. Played with it in Sealed, where it seemed quite good, so we'll give it a go. Okay, well, there's 2 good black cards here. I think there's Scrap Heap Scrounger, which is a artifact with recursion. So it can be quite good in this deck, like repetitively triggering like the Fireweave and the Gremlins. There's also a Foundry Screecher, and Flying is very good in this format. Flying has got more of a premium on it these days. But I think I'm going to go with the Scrap Heap Scrounger. Again, I've not got to play with this card yet, and you want to play with the rares early on in the format so you get a feel for them. And it works nicely with like Operatives, Gremlins, Fireweaver. Even it's not awful with Incendiary Sabotage or Eliminate the Competition because you can bring it back, so... Okay. Welding Sparks. Don't mind if I do. So yeah, this pack... A black-white player is going to be quite happy to have Cabal. We could conceivably get the Puzzle Knot back out of here. That's not going to be awful for us. Fortuitous Find might be played. But yeah, Welding Sparks is an easy pick here. You know, removal works on the number of artifacts you have, so it works very nicely in a black-red deck. So, okay. So for us here, there is a Wayward Giant, Cathartic Reunion, and a Live Fast. Wayward Giant is fine. You know, it's just fine. Cathartic Reunion, I think it's pretty good. It's obviously awful if it gets countered. I think though I'm just going to take the Live Fast. If I want a card draw spell, I think I prefer Live Fast to Cathartic Reunion. So I think I'm happy to take the Live Fast here. I think it's likely we see another Wayward Giant in the packs, so I'm quite happy to see if that wheels or we pick up another one. Okay, so we have another Reckless Fireweaver. We could take a Spireside Infiltrator. We have no vehicles yet, which is what the Infiltrator works best with. There is also a Demolition Stomper, but it's a massive crew cost. I don't think it's the pick for us here. But it's certainly something we could see coming around late. I think this is kind of a sideboard card in the really grindy games. I think the pick for us here is just going to be this Fireweaver. We have 1, 2, 3 ways to get artifacts into play right now. And the Scrap Heat Scourge, like I said, can keep recurring, so I think Fireweaver is a pretty good pick. Okay, so there's not that much here for us. I don't want to play Mind Rot. Guy Ripper Orrery. I don't really think this card's that good. I'm sure there's some way to bust this card, but I don't think we're the deck that's going to do it. So it's really between a Ruinous Gremlin, which is going to be a sideboard card, and a Cathartic Reunion. Again, I don't really think I want the Cathartic Reunion in this deck. So I'm just going to take the Gremlin for the board. Okay, well, a Foundry Screecher is quite a nice pickup here. We could take a Self-Assembler, actually, and see if we pick up another 1 or 2 in pack 3. That's not an awful idea. I think it's unlikely we get another one in pack 2, though. And the Foundry Screecher, like I said, is pretty good as a flyer. It does die to a lot of the 1 damage effects, so that is something to look out for. I think I'm happy with Foundry Screecher. Okay, so there's another Subtle Strike. There's also a Weldfast Monitor here, and I think that's the pick. We want to up our artifact count, and it's a pretty solid creature. You can give it Menace to get some damage through. There's another Subtle Strike, and I would never say no to taking multiple Subtle Strikes, but I think we probably want the artifact here. And Subtle Strikes have been going around the table, so there's a good chance we pick one up in pack 3. Ooh, Die Young came back. Okay, definitely taking that. Yeah, the end of the cards was here, another Gremlins, another Hijack for the board, but Die Young is pretty good for this deck. Another removal spell, it's always nice. And Foundry Screech came back, okay. Deck seems like it's coming together a bit here. So we could take Fortuitous Find. We could also take this Accomplished Automaton to have like the top end of our curve. It's another artifact as well. I think I like that idea. I'm guessing there's not a black-white player because well, Die Young came back and Kambal came back. And yeah, I think Automaton's likely to be better than Fortuitous Find for us here. I guess we do get a Cathartic Reunion, though we're probably not playing it. Another Rush of Vitality. Tricks are always nice. So yeah, I think we're looking good going into pack 3 here. But a couple of slots that we're not sure if we really want to play in Eliminate the Competition and Incendiary Sabotage. Otherwise, we have 3 removal spells and a Subtle Strike. So another removal spell would be nice. And we could do with some top end as well here. Ooh. Well, we want to play artifacts, and Smuggler's Copter is a very good artifact. So I think this is just one of the easiest picks I've had going into a pack 3. If Copter wasn't in the pack, it'd be an Ambitious Aetherborn, which again would be fine in this deck. It gives us an artifact and a 4/3 body. But yeah, Smuggler's Copter is just such a good card. It's just an easy pick. We're not a Metalwork Colossus deck, sadly. So we could take a Self-Assembler as a artifact creature. I think, however, the choice is between Tidy Conclusion and Weldfast Monitor. Now, Monitor is another artifact, but I think we want the Tidy Conclusion. Like I said, I want that sort of that 4th removal. I like to have removal heavy decks in draft, and so really a good pull towards being black-red. And again, we saw Wealth Monitor go quite late, and we might be able to pick another one up, whereas I think Tidy Conclusion has more of a premium attached to it. Okay, so I think we probably want to take the Maulfist Doorbuster here for curve considerations. If we sort by mana cost, yeah, we're quite heavy on 2 and 3 right now, and we really want something up the curve, so I think Doorbuster's fine. We've already got 2 Foundry Screechers, so the third one, whilst nice, isn't that important. And we could always get it on the wheel. Wouldn't mind a Built to Smash as well either, that wouldn't be awful. But I think we definitely want some more curve consideration cards, so Doorbuster's fine. And it can make effectively creatures unblockable, which can be nice to force some damage through. We're going to have to make some cuts on this deck as well. I'm going to have to cut our 2-drop slot, so I think we're going to look to take out at least 1 Rush. We might take out this Eliminate the Competition. We've not got that many ways to create servos. And Incendiary Sabotage is currently not sure where it wants to be. I think it's probably going to be a better sideboard card than Incendiary Sabotage, to be honest. Okay, so there's a few picks for us here. Really, it comes down to Spontaneous Artist versus Morphist Squad. Now, Spontaneous Artist is a haste creature, effectively, which is always nice, but I think we're going to go with the Morphist Squad. So we've got a few ways to use artifacts, including now the Smuggler's Copter has Crew 1, so loves servos. And the Morphist Squad gives us a servo, so I think that's a nice pick. Ooh. So there's an Inventor's Apprentice, which would put us down a really quite aggressive route. We could take a Reckless Fireweaver, like a 3rd Reckless Fireweaver, and really go down the, we just want artifacts and start doing damage. I think I prefer the Inventor's Apprentice though here. If we get this out on turn 1 and like Scrapbeak Scrounger out on turn 2 or something, I think that's quite a good start to a game. So okay, there's another Salivating Gremlins here. But how heavy are we on 3? We're not quite heavy on 3. We could just take the Spontaneous Artist. Now, we could sort of cut our top end of our deck completely and go for a really aggressive deck. How many artifacts would we have in this? We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5, so it's not great. I think I quite like this idea. We've already seen the Spontaneous Artist go past that we might be able to pick up on the wheel. So let's go with that. Okay, so Built to Smash versus Subtle Strike. There's even a Workshop Assistant if we're going down the more aggressive deck. I think I'm going to take a Built to Smash. In an aggressive deck, we want to have some tricks. And this is like a good way to force damage through. Though another Subtle Strike would be nice. And we have already passed a Built to Smash, so we might be able to wheel one, whereas we haven't passed a Subtle Strike. Yeah, I'm going to go with Subtle Strike, actually. Subtle Strike fits into the slower deck as well, better than Built to Smash. Okay, so we can have another Foundry Screecher or a Lawless Broker. I'm not really looking at Rush of Vitality here, because we already have 2. Both are 3-drops. Both are effectively 3 power. We don't have that many artifacts, so maybe the Broker, but I think the flying on the Screecher makes it better, so... Okay, well, so this is where, if we're on aggressive, Hijack's a card we could play. I think we're going to take the Spontaneous Artist, though. Just gives us slightly more top end, I think, is a better idea. Take all these expensive cards out. We still have 25 playables, so we might leave Tidy Conclusion in. I think we want the Artist here. So we could have actually had some self-assemblers. We'll take Spark of Creativity here. Actually, I'm kind of tempted to take the 4/4 Assembler, just because it's an artifact. We're not going to get another self-assembler, because I don't think the one went round, but... If we just want to play a high number of artifacts, it's good there. Another Foundry Screecher, so we've got like a real bat pack. Another Demolish with board. I think we're going to take a Fortuitous Find here, because we already have 2 Dakara Scavengers. Okay, so we've got some choices to make in this deck. Some real choices. Okay, 3 Dakara Scavengers. So I think we can build this deck in sort of a fast manner and a slow manner. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm going to start by building the aggressive version of the deck. So this is 28 cards. The aggressive version of the deck won't want a live fast. We also probably don't want to play. We are probably going to play 16 lands, I think, in this form of the deck. So you only need to make 3 cuts. So I don't think these salivating gremlins only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways to trigger. So they're not the greatest. Neither of these reckless fireweavers. Take this hijack out. We could take this tidy conclusion out. So if we take tidy conclusion out, we're only playing up to 4 drops. 17 creatures. It seems fine as a sort of aggressive deck. We should have to make 1 cut actually because we're on 25 and we want to be on 24. Possibly we take out one of these Foundry Screechers. They are worse than Smuggler's Copter. And if we have an artifact, it's a 2/1 fly for 3, which isn't a great rate. So I think this is fine as an aggro deck. Let's just sort by lands. That's a red card, effectively. That's a black card. I think we're probably looking at 9/7. 9. Although we do want red on turn 1, so it might even be worth going 8/8 here. Just so we have more chance of getting a turn 1 Inventor's Apprentice. Okay, so this is the slow version of the deck. The fast version of the deck, I'm sorry. So let's call that fast. And let's build the slower version of the deck here. One of the beauties of draft leagues. I mean, you could do it in a actually in a draft if you had the pool to do it. Like when you're in sealed, you can sometimes make 2 decks. You just have to have a clear idea if you're doing this in person. Okay, so these are the cards I think work in the slower deck. Note, we've cut the Inventor's Apprentice. In these decks, we're probably going to cut Rush of Vitality. I don't think we're an Eliminate the Competition deck at all. I don't think we have enough servos to make this card work, so we'll take that out. We probably want to cut Self-Assembler, just because we don't have another one. And if we're playing like a vanilla 5-drop artifact, Bastion Mastodon is better. Don't want to put Mind Rot in. I don't think Mind Rot's really that playable. Unless you're in like a really good sideboard. Again, probably cut like maybe 2 Foundry Screechers in the slower version. Although flying is better, so it might be worth having more. Though we do have the Smuggler's Copter. This version definitely wants to play 17 lands, so we've still got like 5 cuts to make. Probably want to cut some 2-drops, to be honest. Like, this is a lot of 2-drops. So maybe we cut a Subtle Strike. I think Incendiary Sabotage is just best seen as a sideboard card. So we'll cut that straight away. If we look at cutting some 3-drops, might even cut a Salivating Gremlins here. Just because most of the time it might just be a 2/3, which isn't that good in a slow deck. Probably can cut 1 Dakara Scavenger, and 2 is more than enough. Also note, we're not playing Fortuitous Find even in the slow deck. I think Scavenger is better than it. I know Scavenger is a 6-drop and Find's a 3-drop. I suppose Fortuitous Find puts them into your hand, whereas Scavenger puts them on top. We could even cut Morphist Doorbuster in the slow version. Not going to be that aggressive. I'm not going to be able to force damage through. Otherwise, this is a 4/2 that can trade up. I think I prefer all the 4-drops in the slower version. How much removal do we have in this deck? We have Die Young, Subtle Strike, Welding Sparks, Unlicensed Disintegration, and Tidy Conclusion. There's 5 removal spells, with the option to board in like a couple of Demolish and a Ruinous Gremlin. So I think that's fine. Is there anything in the sideboard that we really could side in? I think the only cards I would look at to bring in here are the Fortuitous Find, maybe the Cathartic Reunion, just like card filtering. But I think I'm fine with this slower version of the deck. I think I'm going to start with the fast version. So look at lands, sort of by colour. Yeah, so this deck doesn't see red quite as important. Our turn 2 plays are actually probably better if they are black. I don't think 11-6. I think I'd definitely prefer to be 10-7. I think that's just so much better. So yeah, so we have a faster version and a slower version of the deck that we can change between. Like I said, I'm going to go with the fast version for the first game. Join us back for round 1.